Anytime we bring together Australia's favourite four-wheel drives, there's always a good thing, but it's not very often we get an all-new model. But Ford's given us that now with its all-new Ranger. We've got it here with Australia's second favourite car, the Toyota Hilux. For years now, these have been Australia's best-selling cars, and we're here to see if this new Ranger has still got what it takes to take on the popular Toyota Hilux. We've got the Ford Ranger V6 Sport here against the Toyota Hilux SR5 Plus. There's no mistaking the front end of this new Ford Ranger. It's big, it's chunky, it's bold. These C-shaped lights and the daytime running lights really let you know it's a Ford truck, just like the bigger F-150. Under the bonnet here, we've got the new V6 diesel engine, 3 litres, 600 Newton metres of power. With the Volkswagen Amarok sort of changing way at the moment, this is the engine of the moment. It's the only V6 in the market now, so it should make this a superior car to anything else in that ute segment. It's backed by the 10-speed automatic transmission and a full-time four-wheel drive system, again new for the Ranger. Underneath, you've got wider wheel track, 50mm front and rear, plus 50mm extra in the wheelbase. Makes the car more stable, better handling, better to carry a heavy load or a trailer. What we really want to do now is get out on these tracks and see if these differences make the car better or worse. The Toyota Hilux is a few years old now in this generation, so it gives away a few years to the new Ranger, but it gives away nothing in these low speed, off-road and outback dirt road conditions. It's still a solid performer on the tracks. The Hilux has got plenty of wheel articulation. It's still firm in the suspension because we've got no load in the car here, but it's well suited to these tracks and the rough conditions. When you get into that low speed, low range articulation on the deep ruts, its articulation comes to the fore, and as we've said in the past, its electronic traction control calibration is first rate. It's really fast to react, gets the wheels going, keeps the drive going to the wheels with the grip whenever you need it. In fact, it's faster than the Ranger in that regard. The Ranger does allow a little bit more slip, needs to catch it before it keeps you going. And then you've got the rear diff lock if you need it. So it doesn't give away anything in that harsh off-road stuff. Where it does lack behind the new Ranger is in its engine. Yeah, not just about performance either, that V6, it's so smooth and silky, whereas this inline 4 diesel is quite noisy and rattly in comparison. We never really complained about it in the past, but you really notice it when you drive these cars back to back. It was only 2 years ago when Toyota updated this engine with the latest fuel injection system on it and the new turbocharger and stuff. Made it a better performer, but no, you can't hide the noise and harshness of this engine compared to a V6, which is much smoother and quieter. On these open file trails, the Hilux transmission is really nice. It holds the gear just where you want it to be. It's always there. It doesn't hold the gears too long, and it doesn't shift up to a higher gear too much as some newer cars will want to do. The engine's always peaking, got plenty of power there. The suspension's nice, it's firm, but it's controlled. It doesn't want for anything. You can see why this car has consistently been such a top performer in everything we do. It was only 2 years ago the Hilux in this guise scored the 4x4 of the Year award, so it's still a class above almost everything else in its category. Hilux's interior, it's still fairly modern. It's been through a few upgrades over its years. The tablet, the way it sits on the dash has improved. It's not as big as the one in the new Ranger, of course, but it's nice and functional. They improved it by putting dials in for volume control and things like that. It's a nice place to be, particularly in this SR5 Plus grade with its heated leather seats and so forth. Nothing wrong with driving this Hilux over long days behind the wheel in all sorts of conditions. It's a user-friendly cabin. But it's on tracks like this where you've got varied conditions, where it's sandy and grippy in some spots and then gets into sealed roads, where the full-time four-wheel drive system of newer cars like the Ranger really come to its fore. It's something we expect to see happen in the Hilux in the future. Might not be until the next generation of car, but yeah, the Hilux has certainly got some ways to catch up if it wants to compete with this new V6 full-time four-wheel drive Ranger. There's no doubt about it, this new V6 Ranger really is setting the standard now for the double cab utes. The refinement, the ride, the handling, it's so much more car-like than ever before, yet it hasn't given away anything in terms of its load carrying ability, its towing capacity, its off-road ability. It's just taking this class of vehicle to a whole new level. And it's up to everyone else to catch up now. Yeah, the Hilux has always been there, but this car is really so far ahead in terms of all those things we spoke about. But then you've got the power and performance of the V6 diesel engine. 600 Newton meters isn't a huge step up from 500 of the 4-cylinder, but it just feels so much better, so much more controlled, so much more balanced as you go right through the rev range, rather than being a peaky all at once, bang on 500 Newton meters of torque. In the low range off-road stuff, the Ranger's traction control still isn't as quick as the Toyota's. The Toyota has always been the standard setter in that regard, and it hasn't lost that title. Playing around with the selective modes for the drive system, you put it into rock mode and it does sharpen it up a bit more, but it still gives you that little bit of slip and loss of momentum, which the Toyota picks up instantly. So yeah, something to get away with there. When you get to the tougher stuff in the Ranger, you want to put the rear locker in. You've still got traction control across the front axle, which is the next best thing to having dual lockers. It'll get you through most of the stuff these cars are capable of, certainly without damaging them anyway. It's hard to say yet, we haven't done our fuel figures on the cars, but if this thing doesn't use too much more fuel than the Hilux or even a 4-cylinder Ranger, the $3,000 extra money you spend for this over the 4-cylinder bi-turbo engine is really money well spent. It's going to be a supreme touring vehicle, towing a caravan, towing your boat or horse float, whatever. But yeah, just getting in the outback and putting plenty of miles behind the car. Another great thing I found about it in the low speed off-road terrain is having the cameras there. The front view camera gives you that view over the front because it's got quite a long, bold bonnet, so it gives you that view across the front. And then you've got the 360-degree camera, so you can see what's around you when you're manoeuvring in the tight conditions, whether that's logs, sticks, rocks behind the wheel. We even had a dog running around before it picked it up when I went to back out. So yeah, really handy technology there that you make use of. The Hilux has been the best-selling 4x4 for many, many years, but I reckon this new V6 powered Ranger is going to represent a changing of the guard. It's just so far ahead in terms of its refinement, its drivability, the way it delivers its torque right through its power band, and plus it's got that advantage of full-time four-wheel drive system. This thing drives so much more like a passenger car. It doesn't give away anything in terms of off-road ability, towing capacity or load carrying. It's going to be very interesting to see in the coming months and the years ahead even, which of these manufacturers can deliver enough cars to the country in these troubled times to feed the demand for these popular utes. Double cab utes are still very popular and leading the way in terms of sales, and these two vehicles are going to lead the way in sales for a long way to come.